Imagine a temple to memory. Imagine its portal as a huge ascending arch, a bare, undefended void that exposes to view everything within it. A temple without a door, a temple with a strange, barely visible threshold, a temple open and turned towards that which it memorializes. And imagine approaching it, drawn by the gravity of its passivity, a passivity which anchors itself by the massive stability of its location. Like many temples, it resembles a kind of cul-de-sac with a clear invitational entrance, the way into it being the only way out. And because the openness of its portal embraces the whole of its fourth wall, the strange ambiguity about what constitutes its inside and what constitutes its outside comes to us when we turn and look back. It's as if it makes a claim on visitation, as if its flags, its altar, its candles, its memorial books, and the permanence of its stone inscriptions remain there in a purely formal way, whether we turn up or whether we don't. It is a place to be strolled around, to be viewed, that enables memory to be chosen, to be occupied. Even the city to which it turns is not exactly the city that looks back. There is a further city, one more ruinous, one more wrecked, one more disregarded, one more hidden and war-bombed. But here, in this temple, that city reappears, is not allowed to vanish. That city is already there, but it is covered over in a camouflaged sort of way. Wherever we turn, whenever we look within this temple, memory continually comes to birth. All the riskiness of birthing is here incarnated within its very concreteness, by the risk of being forgotten, by being overlooked, by the risk of being misconstrued. A riskiness somehow balanced by the temple's stable durability. It's as if the unconscious dead are tacitly assenting to all this, are silently submerged within an already decided purposefulness, so that whenever we enter this temple, they are always there as something fixed and expected. Perhaps they resist in non-obvious ways, ways that invite us to seek an attunement to their resistance, to the particularity of their saying no. Perhaps we thought that something presided here. Perhaps it was the solid amplifications roaring in and the tinny clickings with their thin razor interruptions, or the balconies we looked up to, empty of their not yet arrived presiders, yet we feel their latent oversight, their lack of interest, making us retreat. They would be here, we know that, but nothing presides. Though there's always we can come back embedded in our departures. Young men taunt its threshold, test its purpose through their casual departures, but it claims their youth, as with those others now compressed and made formal here. Whoever enters faces a feast of distraction slowing them down. But something now gives itself as an overlooked item, as something barely conspicuous and hardly there. Within a faulted black floor tile burns a white, incomplete flame. It offers a strange heat and a formal luminosity. And there also are the eye, the heart, the beak, the bone of its own approaching comet, and the skull of its own stone earth, and the brightening starburst cloud of all its milky constellations. There is a perpetual resistance in this place, a closing in and a pushing out. Its intentions are unstable. It is a place that battles against its own usefulness, the utility of its space. Few linger here. Most flee in a constrained departure, as with those returners now homing in, recovering something that they had overlooked, entering and re-entering, each time as being the first time, finding anew a tiredness built into its freshness. It is a place of impatience, a place of solid passivity, a place whose eye is too big, an eye that draws its mind around the corner into a continual seduction of out here is better. It reflects back without effort all the war dead, so that we see them in it, made as if they had always been, and almost as if they had never. It collects names, and names accumulate within it. They push back. Their biographies have a nuclear density. Their alphabetical lives turned over, exposed within the luxury of time. Bronzed angels are looking in, their breasts bearing the patina of interest, looking down into this strange cenotaph, empty yet full. We tower over their names as we look in. There is a claim on us to make them more, but we make them less by scanning up and down, our eyes wanting to be stopped, to be held focused by simply one, a name that pulls us out to something other than this page. And here is found a strange resistance in the unwavering flags and banners, in the silent disintegration of duty, becoming definite in incoherence on the edge of stillness. Somewhere there is a hidden pivot on which all this turns, a roaming perspective. If peace is here, it's in disturbance, the outside coming in. If war is here, then it's unseen, stratified maybe, under pages turned and unturned. We are stopped at its threshold. It's noise waves from a sound mine booming behind us, from an empty, abandoned shaft, open and unguarded, a sea sound pounding into a temple of echoes. If it has a mind, then it's somewhere away from the edges, where memories are kept. The lungs of this place rarely breathe out. They stick in a controlled smother. Flesh is perpetuated here, paper markers serving as proxy graves, flesh replenished against our will. Real flesh, not the memory of, nor the memory of. It is a place resisting thematization. It is a place insisting upon thematization, that hides itself within its themes, within its already deemed purposes, that offers itself as something set. Themes are a sort of trick here that seduces to engage. Someone approaches, hands together, eyes closed, in ecstatic reverence. The Book of the Dead pulls him into a long, profound bow and keeps him in a fixed obeisance until he is dragged away from its magnetic threshold. 4 soldiered figures are looking out. 4 brown angels are looking in, all emerging from their strange bronze womb with the same metal flesh, cast back to back, one behind the other. They turn away in a perpetual conjoined avoidance. But what is he honoring with hands together and eyes closed? What constitutes his strange worship? What will remain of his singular liturgy? Perhaps the 2 black steps he refuses to climb, or the glass top of this surrogate tomb, or the transparent ease of its access are too readily available, too immediately purposeful. Perhaps an instinct keeps him distant from its stolid totality. The book is always open. Everyone can share its brazen exposure. There is no modesty here. Everyone can have a look here, where everything's on show and everything's sealed up. It's a kind of static cloister where the outside is contained inside, a shrine to the barest remaining name, where no one touches, only points. Under this huge ascending arch, it is a place of angels, all of them explicitly employed, not generally flying around, but bronzed, marbled, gilded into a settled earth guardianship, or hovering in a fixed and permanent flight. They are bringing a wreath of victory, flaunting its hollow circularity and its incapacity to wither. If it were green, it would be always green, not browning, nor shrinking, nor gradual drying up, but offered now in perpetual mineral freshness. Someone has put it here, carved it or cast it, then walked away. But it's all profile, all front. We never see behind its hidden uncut roughness, its flat indistinguishment, the stone innards of its flesh. It's like a hollow crown turned sideways, showing us a hole where the head would be. But our outside is better than this. Not that total inorganic inside of its completeness, nor the closeness of its suffocation. Even the silence hums. It won't be quiet. It's either less or more, but never nothing, never naught. There is a mind here, though, one big enough to fill, but held in tension by that altar under its arch and that other against the far wall. They both keep it centered on the black marble agora stretching between them, and decentered when someone appears. You can see him shunning its access, refusing a direct line across, keeping to the side. Disintegration is formalized here. It drops down into this mind. Its flags are cut by the air, but hang as if they cut. But there was always a matrix, a cobwebbed warp and weft, a substructure, something primary coming through. Here it is, transparent enough to let the light pass in, transparent enough to make battle honors disappear. But there are younger flags too, brought to this still ongoing funeral, all waiting to disappear. We watch them queuing, waiting to ascend so that their insides can eventually come out. Then it's all one flag, all one victory, all one defeat. A spacious vacuum just for them, something we inhale, a frightening minus whenever we look up. They need a wind, a powerful internal gale to make them live. Yet they do move in the tiniest perceptible ways, deceiving us. Perhaps they are too far up, too far away to let us care. But they draw us in until we eat their dryness and suck in their trout. There is something inexhaustible here, something waiting to be drained within one quick glance, waiting to be fully understood. All its flags, its altar, its candles, its memorial books, and its stone inscriptions. If peace is here, then it's what's left over. If war is here, then it's already done. Are these symbols? Do they mean something? Somebody unexpectedly asks. Why are they here? It's as if a garden reappears, one hidden and walled in, one waiting, ready to thrive. Her questions pushing backwards through the stone palm fronds, the imagined olive branches and the gilded laurel sprigs, backwards to what they mean, to where the real foliage grows, to where it's already not stone, then forwards to a hardened petrification. Somehow it's all built in, that backwards and forwards, that movement in solid rock with all its simultaneous standing still and the hovering juice of live sap. Then Glen, Glover, Godwin, Goldrop, Gorton, and Good of yesterday, and Moore, Moran, Moss, Murdoch, Naylor, and Piers of today, and the Lenton, Leicester, Lewis, Lloyd, Longland, Love, and Lowe of some time before, all appearing and disappearing, turned or unturned, all still here, thickening the book every day. Anyone can have a look. Anyone take a peek into here where everything's on show, where everything's sealed up, into this raised shrine where no one ever touches, only points. Beneath this huge ascending arch, it stands as something raised and obstructive, almost an altar, a free-standing rectangle demanding respect and a slowness of approach. It won't let you in unless you make an inner or outer obeisance. It draws you to it, whether circling or ignoring it. It won't let you go. It centers itself on the very threshold as an inert, ornate block, making you go either right or left or straight ahead up its 2 steps. Once there, and looking down into its interior, sacrifice overfaces you, the pure vellum of endless lives. And then the illuminated artistry of word and name, everyone configured as if destined to be permanently here. Sometimes lips move in alphabetical repetition, as if the monotone kinship of names is making them all live again. And they do, and they don't. Perhaps their lives, the sheer proximity of them, becomes too much. Perhaps the obligation becomes too great when they come at you living, revived at your resurrecting presence. Everyone's a priest here, just anyone who celebrates at this strange altar, with its inbuilt liturgy that no one can avoid. It catches all who take that first step up and gives them a vocation, one they had not foreseen. And when they leave, that enigmatic ordination is still upon them. At night, what then? Is it dormant then, this place? Does it wait upon our being here to make it real? Are those stitched on and darkened battle honors effortlessly storing memory to set upon us the high fever of battle with all its hidden individualities and its endless nuanced multiplicities? At night, when we're not here, no eyes, no curiosity, no purposeful nor random visitings, do they push outwards towards the dawn in a purely formal way into a kind of compression and focus? Perhaps they abandon their own memories in order to occupy ours, forsaking but never erasing the source of their own trajectory. Night coheres, but daylight dissipates them into exposed fragments. The flags, the altars, its candle, the memorial books, the stone inscriptions, enticing us with predictable seductions. They break into our futures, often as unbearable resurrections. They make us struggle against the proprietors of history. They won't give up. And then they do. The suddenness with which they do, as if at night, all one thing. Then those enticements, drawing us to drift from one memory station to another, drifting within an officially endorsed curiosity around this place of the military dead. There's no way into here but through nobility, through the distinction of unending respect. Banality is banished, banished as something that deceitfully defames. Every name is already raised up, illuminated, gilded, coloured in, dotted with the greenery of elaboration, ready for exposition. Even at night, when no one is here, delicate calligraphies are already inked in, already becoming futures that we complete. Here are the local dead in this hollow, enclosed place, not as their bodies, but as people remotely interred whose names are surrogates for their distant, elsewhere, foreign deaths. Everything is raw, everything implied, in which the valor of this one alone disturbs the stark equivalence of them all. Sometimes he seems too special, a young metal face memorialized in bronze, fixed permanently on the wall, protruding out into space. Are those who are simply listed now drawn into his oneness, now drawn into his brave singularity? Do they abandon their own names to become symbolized totally in him? Can he stand in for them? Can he be them? Perhaps at night, when all the varying twilights tone down his distinctiveness, perhaps then his given narrative might fade. Even then, the named dead withdraw. But where do they go? Is it somewhere beneath their paged presentations to a more solid, determinate origin below, leaving behind for us a simple, inky residue? Or is it the sudden depth of each page, the open, unguarded shaft in front of us? Is that what gets to us? Their constant receding, and then their unstoppable coming towards us at the same time.